Hello and welcome to another exciting video of MSME success stories by Financial Express Online, where we talk about India's emerging small businesses and their path to success. Today, we have with us Puru Gupta and Sreejith Moolayil, founders of True Elements. The company is a clean label, digital first brand playing in the rapidly growing healthy breakfast and snack segment in India. We'll talk about the company's recent majority stake sale to FMCG major Marico for their next level of growth, and we'll also understand what it means to have a strategic partner on board. Let's get started.
Chris and I actually know each other for more than 2 decades. We've been toying with various ideas for some time. True Elements has been there for almost 6 to 7 years. It's an extension of one of our earlier avatars where we wanted to build preventive healthcare as an ecosystem. So True Elements came outside of that, where we believe that there is a need of products which are without chemicals. There is a need of products which are completely devoid of chemicals or sugar, anything at all, any nonsense. I think the reason we were very clear as we sort of move forward to True Elements was that there was so much chatter happening in the market that everybody was commenting about health, about different things, everything. And we realized for food, one thing is very clear: taste has to precede everything else. And while you're giving tasty food, if the product is healthy enough, it is without nonsense. I think it is good enough for the customer, which is good enough for her to come back and buy again. That was the premise on which we started. No, it's obviously iterated in multiple things. I'm just giving a gist of probably around 4 5 years together. As a category from a TAM standpoint, total addressable market, I think we know that the various connotations, whether you look at breakfast or snacks, whether you look at essentially you can look at multiple categories how Nielsen defines. But how we look at it is essentially your consumption basket at 8, 11, and 5, which is essentially what we eat at 8 o'clock, 11 o'clock, and 5 o'clock, which is essentially breakfast and snacks. And we do a bottom up, then we reach somewhere around $10 million, right? And there are various nuances to it. But essentially, we see that there's a huge scope of people sort of shifting habits, and especially I think COVID overall accelerated that entire health consciousness. And as a result of that, I think more and more awareness is increasing around switching to a healthier lifestyle, switching to a healthier assortment of products, and that is where I think Tourism sort of brings its strength today. No, that's essentially the gist of where we are.
Yeah, so as Puru has put in, so this is outcome of our last 10 odd years of going with multiple stuff, most triggered by personal need for having a food which is clean. Okay. So, and again, so for us, clean, it can't be 99.99% clean. It has to be 100%. So there are so many brands like us who talks about clean, but we have been stuck to few principles which industry has cast a doubt whether you'll be able to sustain and build a brand around. We have till now, proven all of them wrong in terms of you don't need to compromise to build scale. You can stick to your core and build scale in all the categories. So as simple as there are categories where we got challenged by few of industry veterans. How can this category be clean? Okay, as simple as a pancake, a dosa mix, those kind of, how can that be clean? If it is instant, it can't be clean. So at a product level, we have done quite a bit of work with the help of experts, both in-house and out from external help. And even in the market side, unlike many of our peers, we stuck to few principles whereby we will not enter modern trade until the brand pull is there. So probably in the segment we are in the category we are in, we might be the only startup brand at the stage we are in who has not had much of empty modern trade presence. Okay, because we have played it with a different rule book vis-a-vis others, whether it is go to market, whether it is product, whether it is spending money and raising money. In both the cases, we have not raised too much of money, because of which we have been very, very capital efficient. That's one thing which most of industry people have looked at us and told that you've been raised so little money and you have built a solid business.
I think essentially it's been a multiple level thing. It's not just one event. It was just there have been many conversations. But yes, and as entrepreneurs and founders, I think we are always constantly there out, reaching out to funds, talking to them, trying to raise funds. And since the fallout of being a capital efficient, as Sreejith mentioned, is that while you're efficient outside, you're always short of capital in most cases. So for us, that was a constant journey where we said, okay, we should constantly try and meet people, constantly try and talk to them. That was essentially the premise. But what we also realized while we were doing this is, and there was somebody leading the deal from Marico's, and there's a banker called A&M. They were the ones who were anchoring this entire deal. They reached out. I think in their constant endeavor of trying to find out the right brands, they were trying. And what we heard was Marico is slightly more picky about looking at brands to look at. And I think that what we understood, and maybe that's from Marico's standpoint, is trying to address the larger set of market, trying to look at something in foods. That was essentially the premise in which probably True Elements was one of those brands. For us, we had never thought of strategic investment. To be very honest with you, we had never, we were very clear from day one that we are building this for an IPO. We are building this to take it public. But at the same time, we knew that one very clear objective, that the reason what Sreejith and I started is that the brand has to outlive us. Brand has to what precedes any of our aspirations, any of anything else is the brand. And anything that gave us the strength that can the brand outlive both of us, can the brand move forward much more than what we and what Sreejith and I would probably live around, is what sort of made us move forward with the whole Marico proposition. And I think that from there on, things have been fairly rapid, fairly consistent. Highly professional teams. We've never interacted with such level of professionalism. We obviously, we also had our skepticism as we were progressing, but I think everything got sorted as we met more people from Marico's team, and I think it's been a wonderful engagement so far. Looking at the way they look at business, having much more patience, because usually what happens is when you are starting a business, you need to have a slightly more longish, horizon. And you can't look at it just as an investment from an ROI standpoint. And we always grappled with that. How do you sort of convince somebody saying this is a business versus this is an investment? I think Marico really has a brilliant blend of these two, right? Looking at returns, but also building the business. That is where I think the best thing sort of blended with us, and we said, okay, I think let's go on. That's how it. You want to add?
Yeah. So just one double click on one point. So though we're not interacting with many strategic players out there, but one skepticism, as Puru also put in, was most of entrepreneurs have is when you speak to corporates, that the culture of people who come and interact may not understand a startup ecosystem. They may not understand the psyche of entrepreneur.
Right.
Okay, and that becomes a big challenge when you're interacting with a strategic player of a size of Marico. But in this case, we never had that because the reason why VCs get an edge over strategic is because VCs are supposed to understand the startup world more than the strategic. But in our case, we didn't find any of the difference in terms of they being empathetic towards what we are doing and the understanding where we are coming from, giving us the freedom. And that's what we also understood from the market, from their past deals, that they have an ecosystem where a startup can thrive. Okay, that's one thing which you are clear, because as Puru was put, we want the brand to outlive us, but if that's only possible if the brand will have the freedom which it enjoyed, right? So we felt that was there from day one during the early discussion itself. So that gave us the comfort, and they were very accommodative in terms of understanding the angle where which we are coming in from, when in terms of terms and in terms of the structure of the deal. So that they were very accommodative and understanding. And obviously, Marico has good distribution sense. I mean, have strength across India. They have good backend and obviously front end. And so we need to leverage that and see how we can True Elements go from here. So as of now, from day one, Swagata, the MD of Marico, has been very vocal in terms of what he or Marico wants from us, right? So in terms of, there's going to be a separate legal entity. There's no change in the legal entity of True Elements. HW Wellness Solution, which is the holding company, continues, and they have a majority board, whereby board is 5 members, 3 is from Marico and 2 are from us. But what Swagata's word put in is, we are there to help you grow, and digital is the play which, and category you are in is the play you understand. Until you come and ask us help, you ask us help, whatever you want, we will come in. Okay, because everybody has their own deliverables. We want you to thrive, and that best done if you guys get that. So that's what they have been clear from day one. So as of now, there is no change in operational control, except that obviously decision making, being a listed company, we will be able to go next level in terms of maturity, in terms of compliance and those kind of stuff. Because as a startup, that's the least focus we have done in past. But being a listed part of a listed company, we obviously will learn a lot there and improve there. Apart from that, we have been given complete autonomy to drive the way we want.
I think no. So and it's very rare that in the contract they had actually written that we will not interfere in anything in the operations that stifles the operations of the company. And imagine it's actually a legal contract. So that should give you a good summary of.
Just to add on, so I'm sure Marico also would be looking for more startups, because next I'm sure for founders out there, okay, we have not evaluated many strategic, but whatever options we could get inbound, we got few. Okay, we selected Marico for the same reasons. After looking at market, after looking at, they've done two kind of strategic acquisitions in past. So I think our limited learning as of now in Indian market, they are the best.
So we don't have a very and this is more on personal experience maybe rather than a rather defined principle. What we believe is so there are various stages in our in the life of an entrepreneur. I think the stages where we know you shouldn't look for is when you don't have solutions, right? A lot of people sort of say, "Iske aage to nahi hoga." So because the moment you do that, you pretty much are then at the behest of somebody else who's going to define the full structure for you. Then you're no longer running what you want to build, right? Then you're pretty much, and that's something we have seen a lot of strategic investments where the founders or the key founding team pretty much gives up this is the terminal value, and that is the stage we would not recommend, because what happens is if you know what you want to build and you have proven the basic concept of scalability, now you know that this is how you want to scale. But in that scale, sometimes you have the questions, but you can't find the answers, or you have the answers, but you can't find the right wherewithal to execute those answers. Those are the two stages we try and we would recommend you should have a strategic investment. And maybe I can just build upon that as well. So sometimes what happens is, let's say we are aiming for 1,000 crores. Now for us, and this is the biggest challenge, at least most entrepreneurs we met, that the larger set is driven by your own learning curve as entrepreneurs. So what happens is your own learning is very critical. And if you don't learn, the rest of the organization will be limited to what you understand. I think that is where sometimes, as you were thinking of scaling up, there were a lot of questions we didn't have answers, but more importantly, there were a lot of questions only we didn't know what to ask, right? And let's say we want to do 2,000, 3,000 crores. We might have certain principles, but somebody externally has to validate saying this is how we have demonstrated execution. This is what is the right way. This is the right ecosystem. That then gives you sort of reinforcement saying, okay, let's build it together. That is one stage. Second is when you know that, yes, there is an ecosystem that you are part of that you can leverage to expedite the growth in the current frame of, in the current market. I think that is the stage where strategic makes sense, where you're trying to build something which you think is not still demonstrated, which you think has got a terminal life because the TAM itself is very limited. It's a very niche market. I think those are stages we would not recommend anyone to look at strategy, because in any case, then you are setting up for failure right up front. To be honest.
I don't think that funding will dry up, okay, because there is money, there will be investment opportunities all across, and we, because of demographic reasons, has an edge over the other international geographies to get money. But what would change since probably last 2 years, anything and everything used to get funded, okay, with respect to, not that we have got any least respect for models which I may not understand, because I may not understand that business, okay, but that means probably a year back the margin of error you could take because there is enough fund available was way too wide, okay. Now your experiments will come costly, okay, one, and second, the valuation will not be as high as what it used to be before, okay, because everybody would want to wait and watch, okay, but right businesses, even in the bad times, will get funding. Right businesses will consider bad times as an opportunity. That's what we are hoping for, and that's the reason. Though you told that we got the funding at right time, we saw that this is the best time to have money and leverage the bad market to grow faster. Okay, so it's an opportunity. It's for everyone. Okay, opportunity for investors, opportunity for brands. Okay, and obviously, as long as you have money, opportunity for consumers as well. So it's an opportunity for everyone. I don't think this will make any big impact in the startup ecosystem negatively. Positively, I believe it will impact because people will start looking at unit economics, right? People used to, when we used to talk about we are a EBITDA positive company, and year back to VCs, there was no blink in the eye. So what, right? So that will change. That would change because I think that will change the ecosystem for good, right? The business has to be run for profit, like it's not an NGO, right? So it's not non-profit. So if you're for profit, you need to know the road to profitability. That's good thing. That's good thing. This market correction would help that.
No, I think just agreeing with Sreejith, I think if you also look at the largest irrational behavior that is demonstrated in the stock markets, I think all of it is driven by the level of optimism. So there is a cyclicism, or there is the optimism is cyclical. So if you see some of the startups that got public last year, there was a certain optimism that yes, very soon they will make money. So I think that optimism will go down, where they'll say, please show us how you make money, demonstrate something. Then we are more open to sort of funding you. I think that part is, businesses that are being built for real business, I think will get more respect than just startups with an optimism to make money. I think that might just change over the next one or two. I think it just we've seen that too many spoil the broth. So I think for us it's very clear. We have one. One of the best things is we have one partner who will probably be our anchor, and I think that's good enough for us to scale. We don't see any reason for any other investor to sort of come in, any other strategic investment. I think we'll probably partner with them and take it forward. That's at least the roadmap for us over the next few years.
Just an extension to that, because in last 6 years of being in True Elements, probably now is the time when we will not have a second of our time spent on fundraising, right? We'll focus more on building the brand and scaling. So we will have pure unadulterated time for nurturing our brand. So that's what will be the change.
So, financial projections. So, in a matter of confidentiality, we won't be able to share because that's now since we are a part of Marico. But I think fundamentally we are there. I think we're very clear. We have some 200 odd SKUs today, but roughly around 40 to 50 odd, really focused on breakfast and then snacks. I think that those are the two categories where we will continue operating. We don't intend to diversify too widely and try and get into newer macro categories. But within these, I think there is enough market, enough metal to sort of scale up. Those continue to be the focus area for us. We do see, and I think as we have maintained, we will still continue maintaining that whole efficiency around capital utilization, make sure that the growth continues. We've been growing 2x year on year for the last 4-5 years, and I think that's the pace we would still want to at least outbeat, if not exceed. And that's something that I think from a growth standpoint we will continue driving. Obviously, I think the larger focus from here on is building equity around the brand, is building more long-term focus on the brand, because that's something that we have sort of undermined in the last 2-3 years. It's largely driven by the kind of investment in the channels, the kind of it's more business driven. I think as we build, we would definitely need to push more on the equity and the awareness of the brand. I think that's something that's just going to be a focus area for the next few years. That we believe will take us to the next level, and at least build us, make sure that there is a basic stability, basic strength of the brand that cannot just be then outdone in a short-term basis.
Thanks, Puru. Thanks, Sreejith, for taking time out and sharing insights on your growth plans. And thank you, viewers. We'll be back with another MSME success story soon.